This is the first video in the relationship astrology series, and in this one I'm going to be talking about how to assess an individual's chart for relationship potential. And again, this is probably the most important and overlooked factor in any relationship assessment, is we need to assess the each individual's potential. And I do these readings in my practice where I just look at someone's relationship tendencies. No partner, no nothing. And it's like a half-hour reading. I just talk about these factors. And I'm going to describe those things in the series in the next few videos. But first I want to talk about a few modifications, because I'll be talking about Venus and the moon, the 7th house, the 7th lord, the Navamsha chart. These are some of the most important factors, but also how it's different for a man and a woman, just because of general relationship indicators of what makes relationships work from that classical perspective of, this is what I'm going to talk about, is that we basically, in relationships, we're putting ourselves in a situation to experience our gender in a powerful way. Like men want to come to know their masculine nature in a relationship, and women come to know their feminine nature in a relationship. This is what we're doing in them. This is why we have them, so that we can experience ourselves as a gender creature. This is why, even if a woman is powerful at work and a go-getter, in relationship she wants to be, at least feel like she's with a man who is in the initiating role. She wants to surrender and relax into her feminine power. A lot of women really sort of lament this, especially the modern women's movement has done a lot to make this confusing for women. They, you should go be a go-getter and go get it, and go up and ask him out for the date, and go up and initiate. Don't sit back and wait. But see, those are the things. Sitting back and waiting and being empowered in your feminine doesn't mean you're a doormat, and it doesn't mean you have no power. The women's power is the power to receive. That's the power that the woman is trying to align with in a romantic relationship. Because women, when they don't feel powerful, they initiate out of fear. They initiate out of fear because they're afraid to receive. They initiate, and they'll look for a partner who they can, you might say, control or dominate, but it's out of fear, not out of being empowered. So in the chart of a woman, you want to look for the feminine capacity to be receptive as well, in addition to the other things that I'm talking about. In a man's chart, you want to look at the capacity to initiate and to have confidence and to have, capability, and to stay consistent in their life, because men are looking to bond and connect with their masculine in a relationship. This is what gives a healthy and positive feeling in a relationship. And when the man can't, he feels like he fails himself, and the relationship doesn't produce a positive experience. And again, men wind up in that other role out of weakness. And it's very easy now, especially in this modern world, to have a lot of illusion around the kind of strong woman who's the sort of go-getter, and the sensitive man who's like, oh, I'm sensitive, I worship the goddess. And coming at this from a weakened perspective, there's nothing weak about being a confident man. Nothing. In fact, it's, again, men will lapse into a crisis of masculinity by being in a situation with a woman who is having a crisis of femininity. So you'll see these energies at play, because the man who is empowered in his masculine is not going to be with a woman who is trying to initiate because of fear. So the only man that can be in that relationship is one who has a crisis of confidence and leadership. So these are principles that you want to understand going forward, that in a chart of a man, you're looking for capability, consistency, strength, confidence, and that's confidence to go up and ask the woman for the date. I mean, it's hard. It's difficult. And men wind up getting gun shy because they deal with a lot of rejection, and it takes a long time for men to not be kind of, especially in this world, sort of gun shy about approaching, and instead wait for a woman to make that kind of initial thing. And again, you want to look in the chart for the man to see if he has that sort of confidence, leadership in his own life and his own mind, and that in a relationship he can be steadfast, because that's what he's trying to bond to, and the woman is trying to bond to that feeling of being receptive, and of being receptive in a situation and in alignment with a man whose values she respects and appreciates, and things like that. So this is a very, very important backstory and relationship principle that's going to be affirmed over and over again, even in all of the videos, because it's a foundational principle. Especially in this day and age now, we're in a perspective, or in a position where we act like these gender ideas are outdated and all, and they're not outdated at all. They're not outdated at all. These gender ideas are very much at play. So we look at a man's chart and the indications to see his capacity to be consistent, courageous, and to stay steadfast in the midst of difficulty, and to have the courage to go up to the one that he wants to be with and ask her for the date. Because what happens typically is if the man's not empowered and the woman's not empowered and they find each other, they're finding each other through dysfunction. The way it's supposed to really work is the man is supposed to say, that's the one I want, and go up to the woman who is empowered to receive, and then he fills her with what he wants to fill her with, and she enjoys receiving it, and she reflects that back, and they both have that experience, like the sun and the moon having that experience. That's how it's supposed to work. Typically what happens, though, is the man is like, I'd really like to go up to that one, but she'd never go out with me, and he has a crisis of confidence. He doesn't even approach the one he really wants. And the woman is like, I would like him to approach me, but then when he does, she's afraid to receive. So she's like, he's just arrogant anyway, and shoots down the men who do come up. Instead, she finds the one who is safe, Mr. Safe, shy guy sitting in the corner, and she goes up and is like, he seems safe, and does little things to get him to come over. And these two people wind up together. He didn't initiate, and she kind of initiated by helping him, and it doesn't work. Because a man is not going to be there unless a man is not going to want to drive and fight for it unless he really wants to be there. And the thing about that I wind up saying to my female clients so much is that, they always wonder why they're in relationships where the men just aren't paying that much attention to them. And it's like, because if he didn't pick you, if he didn't come up and pick you and be the one to really say, I want to get at her, he's never going to have that feeling. If it started off in this way where you're kind of doing little things to get his attention to come over, he's never going to be bonded to you that way, because you're not the one that really made him go, I don't know if I could be with her. Boy, she's so... That's what a man is looking for, and that's what a woman's looking for. But it's scary. It scares the man because then he's got to step up and approach, and it scares the woman when a man comes up like that and says, okay, here I am. And she's like, I can't control this, and this might hurt so bad that I don't know if I can recover. We've all been hurt. Women have been hurt before when they opened themselves up, and then it got taken away. So relationships really test us, and in the individual relationship chart, I'm going to be talking about these kinds of things as well as a backdrop. Masculine and feminine interaction is incredibly important.